Since then, the university has conducted an action report with multiple security recommendations, one of those being turnable locks like this on the inside of every classroom. While we know that Matthew enjoys his job clearing the sidewalks and making big snowballs, that begs the question, how much do the students appreciate it? A win for the Trojans in this game would take them from playing in their high school gymnasium to the hardwood floors of the Breslin Center. After a tough loss last night to Ohio State, the Michigan State Spartans bounced back and got a 5-2 win over Ohio State on senior night, as before they head into an important weekend against Wisconsin. After the game, Coach Nightingale talked about laying the foundation and how proud he is of this team. The Fill the Bus event will take place from now until September 15th inside the Student Services Building, where the Center of Community Engaged Learning will have a physical drop-off point for things like notebooks and backpacks. Absolutely, Jack, and you mentioned it was a very intense game from the buzzer. I mean, letting off in the first half, Michigan State, very aggressive on the offense, jumped out to a 13-5 lead very early on, and when they needed to, they switched that aggressiveness to the defense.
I mean, there was pretty much no security.
It was 6:20 in the evening on February 13th last year. Tim Marshall and his classmates were wrapping up their sports show in the Communication, Arts, and Sciences building. Alerts lit up their phones. There was an active shooter on the Michigan State campus.
We finished up our show, Spartan Sports Report, and we all got like these notifications, and we were all worried. Where are we going to go?
The broadcast room is like a fishbowl, floor-to-ceiling glass walls, and the students quickly decided to move into a classroom.
Everyone got in.
They realized they still weren't safe.
There were no locks on the doors, so we had to close the doors. And we put this piano right here, and then we had bungee cords to kind of lock everything up.
Today, Tim thinks back to that night.
It wasn't the best, but it was all we had.
It's been over a year since students like Tim were forced to shelter in place in classrooms just like this. Since then, the university has conducted an action report with multiple security recommendations, one of those being turnable locks like this on the inside of every classroom.
The report is complete, and we are working on implementing those recommendations that were within the report.
Dana White, spokesperson for MSU's Department of Police and Public Safety, says these recommendations include
a 24-hour security operations center on campus, metal detectors.
Please be aware all patrons will walk through metal detectors upon entrance into the Breslin Center.
And
hiring additional police officers and just things like that.
The police department, of course, wants students to feel safe.
They're home. This is their home away from home.
Reporting for Focal Point News.
I'm happy with the response they took, locking all these doors, having locks on all these doors and locking all the buildings.
DeShawn Johnson. Walking in the snow and ice can really bring you down.
I'm not gonna lie, it halts your mood.
And for students like Marcelo Chola, it's even worse when you're walking to class.
Snow in your face, wind everywhere, you're cold, you're late to class, you get really upset, it just throws you off.
But thanks to people like Matthew Bailey,
you want to hop in?
Walking to class becomes less upsetting. Matthew works for the infrastructure and planning facilities of MSU, and when the snow arrives, his crew stays prepared.
We got teams that are on call 24/7 all winter long.
See, Matthew has always been a fan of the snow.
Yeah, I love the snow. I used to snowmobile a lot.
And while he doesn't get to drive a snowmobile, he does get to drive a toolcat. And although it isn't that fast,
They don't go too fast, honestly.
Matthew enjoys the challenge.
I really liked the challenge.
While we know that Matthew enjoys his job clearing the sidewalks and making big snowballs, that begs the question, how much do the students appreciate it?
I thank him because I don't want to be slipping.
Josh Myers enjoys jogging in the snow for the scenery, and for him, it is huge to have clear sidewalks.
Having clear sidewalks without ice with salt on them, I mean, it's really pretty huge as a student.
The same goes for Caitlin Martin, who has to walk to all of her classes.
Definitely, I definitely appreciate the pathway actually being shoveled.
And although Matthew doesn't usually hear the praise in person, usually because of the loud toolcat, He does take pride in keeping students safe on their walks to class.
A lot of pride here to say that, that kids are able to get to class.
On Michigan State's snowy campus, I'm DeShawn Johnson, Focal Point News. The East Lansing High School basketball team stood on the same stage they did just a year before. 3 games away from a state championship in front of a sold-out crowd. Family and friends packed in. And even Michigan State basketball players showed up. Trojan fans and players alike knew what was on the line during this game. A win for the Trojans in this game would take them from playing in their high school gymnasium to the hardwood floors of the Breslin Center. But when the final buzzer sounded, there was no celebration on the Trojan side.
They outplayed us tonight. Try to get it done next year.
After a hot season and a good start to the game, the Trojans had finally fallen. Or had they?
You know what? To me, it's not a fall, man.
Head coach Ray Mitchell sees it differently.
It's nothing, to me, it's not that, it's important, but it's not life-ending or anything. It's just a lesson.
And while he wants his boys to be winners, life lessons is what he would rather his team learn.
It's not tough, it's just about being resilient, bouncing back, working hard, guys moving on. And, it's love, really.
His team may still need to fully understand his viewpoint, but they are learning.
Everybody around here, we're all just going to keep working and trying.
From East Lansing,
we're going to make it next year.
DeShawn Johnson, Focal Point News. However, it's bigger than basketball today here at Michigan State University. As we head deeper into November, the month of giving back. The Michigan State Student Athletic Support Services held a food drive at the beginning of today's game, and all the proceeds will be donated to the Greater Lansing Food Bank. I got to talk to too many fans today, and if they brung in any canned or dried foods, they were given a complimentary ticket to Sunday's game against Evansville. I also talked to a student that's a part of SAS, and she told me that the food drive is a great way to create a positive impact on families and the community during the holidays. It's a great cause for both teams and fans to be a part of. Thank you guys, back to you at the desk. Thank you guys, and as the Spartans and the Scarlet Knights prepare for tip-off, one thing to keep an eye out for on the Spartan side of things is their bench play. While the Michigan State starting lineup has been a key factor for them this year, they've also been able to look down towards their bench and rely on them for an offensive spark when needed. Michigan State is ranked 17th in the nation and first in the Big Ten for bench points after racking up 690 total bench points this year. Head coach Robin Freilich says that the bench's offensive performance is led by TNT, otherwise known as Theron Halleck and Torrey Osment, as the two have led the way for the Spartan bench this year, scoring 617 of the 690 bench points in total. Halleck and Osment are both averaging right around 11 points this year and are both coming off of a double-digit performance last time against Rutgers. Tip-off between the Scarlet Knights and the Spartans right around the corner here on Big Ten Plus. Michigan State opened its men's basketball season last Monday against James Madison. Tyson Walker started out hot for the Spartans, scoring 7 of the team's first 12 points. But poor free throw shooting by the Spartans allowed James Madison to control the first half as they took an early 13-point lead, eventually going into halftime up 37-33. In the second half, MSU came out with a head of steam and dominated in the paint as back-to-back dunks from Madi Sissoko and Cohen Carr propelled the Spartans to their first lead of the night. Both teams battled for the rest of the second half, with neither team letting up, and with a minute and a half to go, Walker got a steal and converted a massive and one to put MSU up 4. But James Madison's TJ Bickerstaff responded with a huge bucket of his own with just seconds left on the clock to send the game into overtime. In overtime, the Spartans fought hard as Walker got another and one to tie the game up late, but after a clutch 3 from Raekwon Horton, MSU would not get a final shot off in the last possession of the game, and JMU would hold on to get the massive upset win, 79-76. The Dukes hands the Spartans their first home loss in November since 1986, and the first of Tom Izzo's career.